Have you ever had one of those mornings where you wake up, pour yourself a big glass of water, and think you're doing something good for your body, only to end up feeling a little queasy, bloated, or strangely tired an hour later? It's a frustrating feeling, isn't it? You start your day with the best intentions, only to find that something as simple as drinking water can throw you off. If you've noticed this happening to you, please know, you are not alone. I've had so many conversations with friends and clients over the years who experience the same thing. And here's the truth that often gets overlooked. As we age, our bodies respond differently to habits that may have served us well in our younger years. Hydration is no exception. That's why today I want to have a conversation with you that I believe is long overdue. We're going to explore some of the most common mistakes older adults make when it comes to morning hydration. Mistakes that, once understood and corrected, can help you feel more energized, more balanced, and more in tune with your body's changing needs. Because let's face it, at this stage in life, it's not about following every new trend or complicated health regimen. It's about listening to your body, respecting its signals, and making small adjustments that honor the wisdom of the years you've lived. And something as simple as the way you drink your morning water can have a bigger impact than you might think. So if you're ready to feel better in the mornings, to start your day with more clarity and comfort, stick with me. I promise this will be a conversation worth having. And before we dive in, if this resonates with you, if you find yourself nodding along or thinking of someone who might benefit from hearing this, please consider leaving a like or a thoughtful comment. Your story, your perspective could be the encouragement someone else needs today. And of course, if you'd like to keep exploring ways to feel your best as you age, I would be honored to have you join our vibrant elders community by subscribing. Now let's begin this journey together. And let's start with one of the most surprising ways many of us unknowingly disrupt our mornings. Drinking ice-cold water first thing when we wake up. Have you ever reached for a frosty glass straight from the fridge as soon as you got out of bed, thinking it would wake you up and get things moving? I used to do the same thing. There was something about that cold rush that felt invigorating. But over time, I started to notice that it didn't always leave me feeling great. Sometimes my stomach would tighten up, or I'd feel a little dizzy, or oddly enough, my hands and feet would stay cold for hours. It turns out there's a good reason for this. When we sleep, our bodies enter a state of deep rest and repair. Our core temperature drops slightly, our blood vessels constrict a bit, and our digestion slows down. Drinking very cold water in this state is like giving your body a sudden jolt. According to health studies, sudden temperature shocks can cause your stomach muscles to contract and blood vessels to narrow even more, which can interfere with digestion and circulation, especially in older adults whose systems may already be more sensitive. Harvard Health Publishing. A client of mine, Evelyn, who's 73, shared a story that perfectly illustrates this. For years, she kept a big pitcher of ice water in the fridge and would drink a full glass first thing each morning. But she noticed that afterward, her digestion felt sluggish, and she'd often get chills that lasted well into the morning. Her doctor suggested switching to room temperature water, and within a week, Evelyn felt a noticeable difference. No more chills, less bloating, and better overall energy. Now, it's not that cold water is bad in general, but in the delicate window right after waking, when your body is easing back into wakefulness, room temperature or lukewarm water is simply a gentler choice. It allows your body to wake up gradually without an added stressor. If you give it a try for a few mornings, you might be surprised by how much smoother your digestion and energy feel. Another habit that often trips people up, and this one is especially common, is drinking water too quickly. Picture this. You wake up, feel parched, and without thinking, you down a whole glass of water in one go. It feels satisfying in the moment, but soon after, you might notice a feeling of fullness, nausea, or even a strange, lightheaded sensation. The reason for this is simple. When we chug water, especially after hours of rest, we flood our system too quickly. Our stomachs and kidneys aren't quite ready to process such a rapid influx of liquid. This can trigger bloating, disrupt electrolyte balance, and force your kidneys to work overtime. And as we age, our ability to maintain stable fluid and electrolyte levels can become more fragile. National Institute on Aging. I remember a gentleman named Robert, a retired teacher in his late 60s, who came to one of my wellness workshops. He proudly shared how he drank a full liter of water first thing every morning because he read it was healthy. But he also mentioned feeling dizzy and off balance afterward. Once we talked through his routine, it became clear that it wasn't the water itself, but the way he was drinking it. I encouraged him to sip slowly, spacing his intake over 20 to 30 minutes. A few weeks later, he reported feeling more stable, more comfortable, and even more energized in the mornings. So if you're in the habit of gulping your water down, I encourage you to slow it down. Take a few mindful sips. Allow your body to absorb and process the water gradually. You'll likely find that your digestion, your mood, and even your clarity improve. As we continue this conversation, I invite you to think about how these small adjustments, the temperature of your water, the pace at which you drink it, can have a ripple effect on your entire day. Our bodies are wise, but they also crave gentleness and care, especially as we age. Now that we've explored these first two important shifts, let's keep going. There's another common mistake many people make with their morning hydration that can quietly impact your health over time. And it's one that surprises a lot of folks when they first hear about it. And that brings us to something I see so often, yet it's rarely talked about: drinking water that's been sitting out overnight, especially in plastic bottles. Now, I know this one hits close to home for many of us. It's convenient, right? You fill a bottle before bed, set it on your nightstand, and when you wake up, there it is. Easy, familiar, a good habit. Or so it seems. But here's the part many people don't realize. Not all bottles are created equal, and water left sitting in certain plastics, particularly overnight, can pick up more than just a little dust. I had a dear friend, Walter. He's 75 now and a lifelong hydration warrior, as he calls himself. For years, he kept the same plastic bottle by his bed, refilling it daily, thinking he was doing his body a favor. But gradually, Walter began noticing some odd symptoms: headaches, sluggish digestion, unexplained fatigue. At first, he chalked it up to aging or maybe the stress of retirement. But when nothing else seemed to add up, he finally consulted a holistic doctor. You can probably guess what they found. Walter's trusty old plastic bottle, which had been exposed to warm bedroom temperatures and reused repeatedly, was leaching chemicals into his water. Things like BPA and phthalates, known endocrine disruptors. Even so-called BPA-free plastics aren't always safe. They often contain other similar compounds that can affect hormone balance and overall health, particularly in older adults whose systems are naturally more sensitive. Once Walter made the switch to a simple glass bottle, nothing fancy, just a clean one he refreshed each morning, he noticed improvements within weeks. His energy bounced back, the headaches diminished, and his digestion felt noticeably smoother. It was a small change with a big payoff. And here's something worth remembering. Our bodies are working hard enough as we age. The last thing they need is the added burden of processing tiny amounts of chemicals that accumulate unnoticed over time. So if you're currently using an old plastic bottle, especially one that's been refilled many times or sits near a heat source, consider switching to glass or stainless steel. Hand refresh that water each morning. Your body will thank you. Now, speaking of timing, another often overlooked mistake involves when and how we drink water in relation to our medications. If you're like many older adults, you probably take one or more pills in the morning, sometimes before breakfast, sometimes right after, and it's common to pair those pills with a generous glass of water. That's what we've always been told, right? But here's the subtle trap. Drinking too much water too quickly on an empty stomach, especially right after taking medication, can lead to all sorts of discomfort. I once worked with a lovely woman named Margaret, 81 years young, who was puzzled by recurring nausea and bloating in the mornings. Her doctor had ruled out major issues, so Margaret came to one of my workshops hoping for a new perspective. As we talked, it became clear Margaret had developed a habit of swallowing her thyroid medication each morning with a huge glass of cold water, often before even sitting up fully in bed. This was creating a perfect storm. Her still sleepy digestive system was being hit with both medication and a flood of water all at once. Her stomach lining was getting irritated, and the meds weren't being absorbed as efficiently as they should. When Margaret adjusted her routine, taking just enough water to swallow her pill, then waiting 30 to 45 minutes before having her usual breakfast, things improved dramatically. No more nausea, less bloating, and her follow-up blood work even showed better absorption of her thyroid medication. This is something I encourage everyone to pay close attention to. Listen to your body's signals when combining water with medications. Too much water too quickly on an empty stomach can cause discomfort and interfere with absorption. Likewise, guzzling water right after a large meal can slow digestion. The key is balance, sipping mindfully, allowing your body time to adjust. That brings us to another modern trend that I think deserves a little gentle scrutiny: skipping breakfast entirely and replacing it with just water. Now, I know there's a lot of buzz these days around fasting and minimalist mornings, and while those approaches can work well for certain younger folks or people following specific health plans, they don't always serve us well as we get older. I'll share the story of Alice. Alice had read all about intermittent fasting online and decided to try it. She figured skipping breakfast and just drinking water until lunchtime would help her lose a few pounds and feel lighter. And at first it seemed promising. She dropped a little weight and felt quite proud. But within a few weeks, Alice began to notice changes she hadn't expected. Her mood dipped. Her memory seemed fuzzier. She found herself unusually tired and even a bit shaky by mid-morning. When her daughter expressed concern, Alice consulted her doctor, who pointed out something important. At her age, skipping a nourishing breakfast meant depriving her body and brain of the essential fuel needed to function well. Overnight, blood sugar levels naturally drop. Without replenishment in the morning, our brains and muscles start running on fumes, which can lead to mood swings, fatigue, and cognitive fog. Once Alice added a simple, balanced breakfast, a little protein, some healthy carbs, maybe a boiled egg or a slice of whole grain toast with fruit, her energy and clarity returned. And here's the key lesson. Water alone is wonderful for hydration, but it cannot replace the nutrients your body needs after a night of fasting. Especially in later life, your system thrives on gentle, consistent nourishment. So if you've been skipping breakfast and relying only on water, consider giving your body a little more love in the morning. A small, balanced meal can make a world of difference in how you feel throughout the day. I want to pause here for a moment and invite you to reflect. Isn't it remarkable how such small shifts, choosing the right water temperature, slowing your sipping, refreshing your water source, pairing water wisely with medications, and not skipping that vital morning meal, can transform how you feel? Each day, our bodies have served us faithfully through decades of life. They deserve thoughtful care now more than ever. And remember, there's no shame in discovering that a habit you once thought was healthy may no longer serve you well. That's the beauty of growing wiser. We can adapt, we can learn, and we can thrive at any age. Now, as we continue this conversation, There's one more piece of the hydration puzzle I want to share, one that touches on something deeper than just physical well-being. Because the way we approach even the simplest rituals like drinking water can profoundly affect how connected we feel to our bodies and to life itself. Now, as we deepen this conversation, I want to share something that goes beyond physical habits and taps into how we feel emotionally and mentally, because how we care for ourselves in small ways like morning hydration can set the tone for the entire day. Many of us grew up in a time when the idea of self-care wasn't really talked about. We worked hard, looked after others, and didn't always stop to ask, how am I really feeling today? But now in this season of life, taking a few moments in the morning to tune in, to nourish, to hydrate, to honor your body's needs, becomes not just important, but essential. I had a wonderful conversation recently with Gerald. He shared something that really stuck with me. He said, "You know, it's not the big things that make me feel grounded these days, it's the little rituals. Making my tea just right, sitting by the window, drinking my water slowly and with intention. Those moments remind me that I'm still here, still in this body, still connected to life." There's wisdom in Gerald's words. When we slow down and bring mindfulness to even a simple glass of water in the morning, we shift out of autopilot and into presence. We remind ourselves that we are worth caring for, not just through grand acts of wellness, but through the smallest gestures of self-love. So as you think about your hydration routine, I invite you to consider, are you gulping down your water while rushing through the morning? Or are you giving yourself space to experience it? Are you offering your body gentle warmth and nourishment, or adding stress through temperature shocks and hurried habits? Here's a little practice I often suggest. Tomorrow morning, before anything else, pour yourself a glass of room temperature water. Sit down with it. Take a deep breath. With each sip, notice how it feels, not just physically, but emotionally. Are you easing into the day with care? Are you honoring this body that has carried you through so many chapters of life? When we approach hydration, and mornings in general, with this kind of mindfulness, we create a ripple effect. Our nervous system relaxes, our digestion improves, our mood stabilizes, and we begin the day feeling rooted, not rushed. Of course, no conversation about hydration would be complete without touching on one more important point: the balance between hydration and nourishment. One mistake I see often is an overemphasis on water to the exclusion of other forms of nourishment. It's easy to think, if I just drink enough water, I'll feel great. But that's only part of the picture. I remember another member of our community, Frank, a retired postal worker now in his mid-70s. Frank was determined to stay fit and had read somewhere that drinking lots of water would boost his metabolism and help with weight control. He started drinking nearly a gallon of water a day, often replacing snacks or meals because he didn't want to overeat. But soon, Frank began feeling fatigued, lightheaded, and mentally foggy. He was confused. Wasn't water supposed to help? After a little guidance from his nutritionist and some conversations with our group, Frank realized he had unintentionally diluted his electrolytes and neglected to fuel his body with the balanced nutrients it needed. Once he adjusted, adding a solid breakfast with protein, fiber, and healthy fats alongside mindful hydration, his energy returned, and he felt stronger and more resilient. The key lesson here is that water is a wonderful ally, but it is not a replacement for nourishment. Especially in our later years, when our bodies become more sensitive to imbalances, it's crucial to pair hydration with adequate balanced nutrition. And this brings me to something I think we all deserve to hear. Aging is not about restriction or deprivation. It's about finding new ways to thrive, to feel good, and to honor our changing needs with wisdom and kindness. That includes how we hydrate, how we eat, how we move, and how we rest. As you reflect on your own routine, ask yourself, am I giving my body what it needs to feel supported, or am I caught in old habits that no longer serve me? Am I approaching hydration with care, or just checking it off the list? Am I pairing water with nourishment or leaving my body underfueled? Remember, small changes make a big difference. Choosing room temperature water instead of ice cold. Sipping slowly instead of gulping. Refreshing your water source, pairing hydration with a gentle breakfast. These are not grand gestures, but they speak volumes to your body and to your sense of self-worth. And if you're thinking, it's too late to change now, let me assure you, it is never too late. Our bodies are wonderfully adaptive. Even small shifts made today can lead to noticeable improvements in how you feel tomorrow, next week, and beyond. I often say that hydration is not just a physical act, it is an act of self-love. Each morning when you choose to hydrate mindfully, you are sending a message to your body that says, you matter. I care for you. I honor this life I've been given, and that message is powerful, my friend. It has the potential to ripple through your entire day, affecting your energy, your mood, your digestion, and your overall sense of well-being. So as we near the close of this conversation, I want to leave you with this thought. The habits that support us most in our later years are often not the biggest or flashiest. They are the small, consistent acts of care we offer ourselves each day. A mindful glass of water in the morning, a nourishing breakfast, a few moments of quiet presence. These are the rituals that say, I am here, I am alive, I am worthy of care. And that is a beautiful way to begin any day, at any age. Remember, it's never too late to nurture yourself, to listen to your body's evolving needs, and to choose small acts of love each day. May your mornings be gentle, your water be kind, and your spirit be vibrant. Now that we've explored the ways temperature, pacing, and mindful pairing of hydration with nourishment can improve our mornings, there's one more piece of the puzzle. I want to talk about a habit that often seems harmless, even comforting, but can quietly undermine your well-being if left unchecked. It has to do with where your water comes from and how it's stored. Many of us, myself included at one time, grew up during an era where we valued practicality above all else. We reuse what we can, we make do with what's on hand, and we find comfort in familiar routines. For a lot of folks, that includes keeping a trusty old plastic water bottle by the bedside or on the kitchen counter, refilling it day after day. It feels like such a small thing, doesn't it? Why bother replacing a perfectly good bottle? But here's something I've learned through years of studying wellness and talking with healthcare professionals. Not all plastics are created equal, and as they age or are exposed to heat, they can begin to leach chemicals, some of which may disrupt your body's natural hormonal balance or contribute to inflammation. And let's be honest, at this stage of life, the last thing we need is another source of internal stress on our systems. A dear friend of mine, Walter, 75, used to keep a plastic bottle on his nightstand because he liked having water within reach at night. He refilled that same bottle every day. After a while, Walter began noticing he felt more bloated in the mornings. His energy dipped midday, and he just didn't feel quite right. His doctor couldn't find any major issues. But when we got to talking about Walter's daily habits, the water bottle came up. After a little research and a gentle nudge, Walter switched to a glass bottle and started refilling it fresh each morning. You know what happened? Within 2 weeks, the bloating eased, his energy improved, and his digestion felt lighter. He told me, I never would have thought a little plastic bottle could make such a difference. Now, I'm not here to scare you about every sip of water you've ever had from plastic, but I do want to encourage awareness. If your water bottle has been sitting out overnight, especially in a warm room, some plastics can leach substances like BPA and other hormone-disrupting chemicals into the water. And over time, those small exposures can add up. Our bodies, particularly as we get older, become more sensitive to these hidden stressors. We're already managing natural shifts in metabolism, hormone levels, and immune function. So anything that adds an unnecessary burden is worth addressing, and the solution is simple. A glass or stainless steel bottle offers a safer, cleaner way to enjoy your water. Plus, there's something satisfying about drinking from a vessel that feels solid and pure, like you're treating yourself with the dignity and care you deserve. I often tell folks, every small choice we make in our daily routines sends a message to our body. When you choose to drink clean, fresh water from a safe container, you're saying, I am worth the effort. I value this body and this life. It's not about perfection. It's about progress, and about building a relationship with your body rooted in kindness and trust. And while we're on the subject of timing and trust, there's another habit I'd like you to reflect on, one that involves how we take our medications. If you're like many older adults, you probably have a handful of pills or supplements you take each morning. Maybe you've been advised to take them with water, which is sound advice. But here's the subtle trap. Drinking too much water too quickly or on an overly full or empty stomach can sometimes trigger nausea, bloating, or even interfere with how well your medications are absorbed. I've heard this story countless times in our community. One that stands out is from Margaret, 80, a vibrant woman with a sharp wit and a deep love of life. Margaret had been taking her thyroid medication faithfully each morning, followed by a large glass of water, and then waiting an hour before breakfast, just as her doctor recommended. But over time, she began experiencing queasiness and occasional heartburn after her pill. It puzzled her. After all, she was following the instructions to the letter. In one of our conversations, Margaret mentioned that she was chugging about 16 ounces of water in one go to get it over with. That was the clue. We talked about slowing down, sipping just enough to swallow her medication comfortably, and then gradually increasing her fluid intake throughout the morning rather than all at once. The result? Margaret's nausea disappeared within days. Her digestion felt more comfortable, and she was able to enjoy her mornings again without dread. The takeaway here is simple. More is not always better. Our bodies crave balance. Taking medication with a mindful amount of water, enough to swallow it safely but not so much that you overwhelm your stomach, is one small but important way to respect your body's needs. And this brings us full circle to a larger theme I hope you're feeling through this conversation. Tuning in, listening, and responding with care. Every time you choose to slow down, sip gently, honor your body's cues, or refresh your habits with awareness, you are building trust with yourself. And that trust is the foundation of true wellness. Not just in the morning, but throughout every part of your life. I've often said that the journey of healthy aging isn't about chasing youth. It's about embracing wisdom, the wisdom to know when to change, when to let go of old habits, and when to adopt new ones that better serve the person you are today. And your morning hydration routine is a beautiful place to begin practicing that wisdom. So tomorrow, when you pour that first glass of water, remember what we've shared here. Choose warmth and gentleness over shock. Choose presence over rushing. Choose safety and care over convenience. And above all, choose to honor the remarkable body that has carried you this far. Because, my friend, you are worthy of that care. And if this conversation has sparked new insights or reminded you of your own wisdom, I'd love to hear about it. Please take a moment to share your thoughts or experiences in the comments. Your voice matters deeply in our vibrant elders community, and if you'd like to keep learning and growing with us, I warmly invite you to like this video and subscribe to our channel. Together, we're building a space where aging is not something to fear, but a rich, vibrant journey to be embraced with joy. Here's to mornings that nourish your body, awaken your spirit, and remind you that each new day is a gift. Drink deeply of life, my friend, and do it with love.